Okay, we are going to review the expectations for the midterm workshop and literacy careers guest speaker that is coming up. So let's review the objectives first of all. And if you'll see, we are in module 7. We're going to analyze a lesson plan and supplementary materials for culturally responsive pedagogy, the 4 elements of instructional alignment, and suitability for selected learners. So notice what's happening here is we are actually, when we say analyzing a lesson plan for culturally responsive pedagogy, this is what we did in module 4 with the reading diversity tool. When we say the 4 elements of instructional alignment, this is where we're talking about a 4-square and an annotated lesson plan. And then when we say the suitability for selected learners, we specifically are collecting that data, and we started that in module 5. So I want you to see how everything has been building to our midterm portfolio. So we're going to use student-specific data to inform curriculum adaptation and instructional choices. Again, that's something that was assigned in module 5, and you should be getting from your field placement. Use research-based methods to justify instructional and literacy integration choices. You'll have an opportunity to do that in the reflection piece of the midterm. Reflect on the process and challenges of adapting curriculum to meet learner needs and goals. Again, you'll have an opportunity to do that in the midterm portfolio. Gain insight about Wiggin and McTee's backward design theory as an inspiration for lesson planning. So this is a really important foundational theory that we use for planning curriculum and instruction. And then begin logistical planning for the field experience lesson. Begin assessment planning for the field experience lesson. So remember, after midterm, you're going to have to teach a lesson in the field. I'm just giving you a heads up so that you can begin planning for it. Our essential learning is, how can we leverage high quality planning to meet learner needs and goals? How can we use backward design to ensure lesson planning alignment? And so essentially, I'm trying to model for us good instructional alignment. When you begin the lesson, I want you to watch this video first. It's about backward design theory. And then I give you some guiding questions about why it's considered an effective way to plan instruction. Please notice that we actually used backward design to set up our midterm portfolio. I knew what I wanted you to do in the portfolio. So I began 3-4 weeks ago setting up our activities to carefully lead to that portfolio, so that basically all you have to do now is put those pieces together, refine them, write a reflection, and then you're ready to go. So let's go ahead and jump into the actual midterm overview. The video is not loaded right here now that I'm creating, but this video is going to be loaded right here in the overview portion, and you're going to use the video overview and the assignment to review the expectations for the midterm portfolio. Analyze the connections to modules 4 through 6, assess your readiness, and complete the midterm portfolio. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to open this up. If you are in class, if you're in an in-person class, then we're actually going to use a stations activity to do this. And a stations is it's a supportive literacy strategy. If you are not, if you're in an online class, then you will be using the video and the assignment to review the expectations. So let's go ahead and jump in. This is for 333, 337, and if you happen to be in a section of 624, it's the same portfolio. So our learning goals, which we already established when I went over the objectives. So I'm just going to kind of push through here. The requirements are, you need to upload a maximum of 2 documents. So your annotated lesson plan, you need to either take a picture of it, you need to scan it, and it needs to be uploaded as a JPEG or a PDF file. Please do not upload it as a paint file or something like that, those do not seem to be very compatible with our Moodle site. The portfolio itself needs to be typed, and it's in a Word or a PDF document. Please do not use Pages or WordPad or anything else like that. That's not going to work. You need to use APA format throughout, and if you're not sure what that looks like, look it up. I've put a resource right here that you can actually click and open it up. It's an online resource and it provides guidance for AP format. So don't just guess on it. Follow my link and actually look up proper format. This is something that you're going to be expected to do in your education classes. We use APA format. Your English classes, which most of you used MLA format, that's what your English classes use. But in the education field, we use APA format. The portfolio items should be presented in the order indicated. Also, each section should be labeled and numbered accordingly. So this is where I'm telling you, I want each portion of it to be specifically labeled this way, and I want it presented in this order. Please do not deviate from this order. This makes it easier for me to grade, and it is also set up in a way that it makes it more logical for you to be able to put it together. And so this is what the portfolio entails. It's actually 4 parts. The first part is the reading diversity tool. It's a tool for selecting diverse texts. Again, this is the same one that we use for Module 4. You're going to analyze your lesson plan and all supplemental materials, worksheets, texts, websites, etc. Remember, you are responsible for obtaining your own lesson plan for this assignment. You can get one from your field placement teacher. You can get one from the curriculum. That's your certification area if you have a strong curriculum. There are many online sources as well. Remember, I've been telling you now for about 3 weeks, 4 weeks, if you need help getting a lesson plan, you need to let me know. Some of our content areas are a little bit, it's a little bit skeletal with the lesson plans. But again, I'm happy to help you. Also, some of you asked me, can I use the same one that I'm using for another class? Maybe like the lesson planning class, the 317, 318 class. Yes, you can. So that would save you some time right there. So then what I want you to do is I want you to analyze that lesson plan and all of its supplemental materials using the reading diversity tool. And the tool is provided in module 4 here. If you remember, it's very long. It's a very long tool. You are not actually going to turn in this tool for it. You're going to simply use your analysis to write a 200 to 300 word assessment of the lesson plan's supplementary materials based on the complexity, the diversity and representation, the critical literacy, and the task and reader considerations. If you remember that document, the reading diversity tool, these are the 4 categories of the way that it's set up. And so I want you to write a 200 or 300 word assessment that covers each of these 4 things. So you're not going to be putting every single thing about the reading diversity tool. You're going to have to edit that down into a 200 to 300 word assessment. Explain how you will modify or supplement the lesson plan to achieve better outcomes in those 4 areas. Then part 2 of the portfolio is the teaching cycle with pre-assessment. So this is your learner data. You're collecting learner-specific data and creating a class profile to guide the lesson plan, instructional, and literacy integration choices. So remember that tool is provided in Module 5, and I've also linked it here. Some of you are saying, my teacher may not give me the standardized test data. Come up with some other achievement data. So it can be a pre-test that the students are given. If you're in a music class, if they're a band class, What chairs are they sitting in? Do they have chair tests, and what are the chairs that they are sitting in? Um, if they are in a choir, maybe, are they, did they try out for honor choir? Did they make honor choir? Did they not? So that would be three categories right there. They tried out and made honor choir, district honor choir. They tried out but did not make it, or they did not try out at all. So somehow we're trying to link it to achievement data. If you're in a PE class, you could quickly do some sort of assessment data, categorize three different levels of ability of what you could make it observable. Level one would be beginning the fundamentals of basketball. They are um, they are learning how to dribble. They are learning how to pass. They are learning how to shoot the ball. And then there might be another category in the class where it's a step up. They now are demonstrating some more proficiency in those skills. And then of course, level three would be your advanced. And many times these students are the ones who are on the basketball team, and they are consistently demonstrating proficiency. So even if you do not have access to standardized test data, link it to some sort of achievement. And that's going to be very important because we need to know where our learners are when it comes to their specific learning about our content areas. Are they beginning, or are they very advanced? And that's going to determine the appropriateness of a lesson plan. For example, if you are teaching a class, and I'll just give an example where 90% of the students are in the all-state choir, then we're probably not going to give them a lesson plan that's like the fundamentals of sixth grade choir. They would be bored. It's below their level. And vice versa. If we're in a class where these are all beginners and they don't have very much singing instruction or music instruction, or even when we're talking about some of our content areas, we might be in a class where the majority of the class has scored approaching basic on their English. Well, we need to consider that when we're looking at lesson plans. So that's why it's very important that you do everything you can to follow the teaching cycle with pre-assessment. And again, it is okay if you do not have standardized test data, but you need to have some sort of data that shows achievement. For the other three levels, where it's the learning style, the interest inventory, those are things that we're just trying to learn more about those students to see if the lesson would be a good match for them and how we could tailor it to be a better match for them. Task 3 is the annotated lesson plan in Foursquare. So you're going to use your lesson plan from your mentor or a curriculum aligned with your field placement and this guide to strategically annotate it and align it, the 4 instructional elements. So highlight each time you include data from your field placement and how you plan to modify or emphasize the lesson to include that data. The tool is provided in Module 6 here, and also in Module 6, I put those samples for you. The samples also contain the highlighting, the key does, so that you could see how to do that. And then task 4 is a reflection. After completing tasks 1, 2, and 3, you synthesize and analyze your findings. Then you assess how you will modify the lesson to meet your learners' needs and justify your decisions. And this tool is provided right here, this reflection piece. Let me open it up very quickly. Not sure why that came up here, but so at the end, now you have these 5 questions. Notice that you're using all 3 of the tasks to answer these, and each response should be 200 to 300 words. Each response, not all 5 combined. Each response. Okay. There is one other thing I want to mention in the, let me pull it up here. Sorry. In the annotated Foursquare, and I think the pre-assessment as well, there are some questions at the end of those activities. You do not have to answer those in tasks 2 and 3 because you're going to be answering them in task 4. So those are just kind of things to think about and consider. For each part of this, I've given you a rubric. The rubric is set up essentially as a checklist that you will be able to assess your own learning as you move through the portfolio. And it's pretty specific. The formats you have to use, how many things you have to provide to get at each point level. Sorry about that. And it moves through. So each part of the portfolio is broken down with a rubric component, and you could literally assess your own work before you submit it to see what your score is going to be. So I think that this pretty much covers the expectations for the midterm. Again, I'm going to load this video. This is the link that you're going to use to submit it, and you need to submit it by the date indicated here on Moodle. And this is your checklist for it. And then here are some of our final reflections on, I'm going to let you read through those. And just to reiterate, you're going to upload by the date indicated and the time indicated. And then here's a little reminder about moving forward. This is an excellent time to get into the field, get with your field placement teacher. You can finish getting some of the data you need for the midterm, as well as begin looking forward to that lesson that you're going to have to teach in the field. And I put a date, the date window here for when you need to teach that field placement. It's actually, usually it's right at a month that we have for you to teach that. Anytime within that window, you're allowed to teach the field lesson. So I hope that this helps you understand the midterm portfolio, the assignment. Please reach out if you have any questions. Don't hesitate to email me. And I hope that you enjoy putting together this particular portfolio. I hope that you learn a lot about the importance of learning who your learners are, what your instructional goals are, and then analyzing and modifying the curriculum in a way that's going to be most supportive to your specific learners and the desired learning outcomes. So I hope this helps. Again, reach out if you have any questions.